All right. I'll let you pour. I'm going to talk
All
about. So
right.
you
Oh,
pour,
so
you
I get
sniff, you
the
taste.
opening pop.
Yeah. I swear I didn't pop it and smell it earlier today.
You did? You already broke it? You know I love that sound. There's nothing like the first time you open a whiskey bottle and the pop it makes. Sometimes it's a really good one. You already opened this.
It's really funny because
This is not funny to me.
I popped it and then I immediately thought, oh no, because I know it's a big deal to you. And then I was like, shit. It's
I
like
capturing it
it's
too.
like Hagrid. I should not have said that. I should not have done that.
You opened it just to sniff it. You're not supposed to sniff it before I pour it either.
I've been so ready to try this, and then
you couldn't wait. You did it today.
did it today.
Today. Let's talk about this. You did this today. You couldn't wait a couple hours until we got to this point.
I was doing a little research on it for our history, and the more I read about it, I'm like,
we
I have
need
to smell
a virgin smell from you. Not I already smelled it earlier, so I've already got my smell profile done.
I do not smell like a virgin. It's gonna be different once it's in a glass.
Anyways, I can't believe you took my pop. You took the pop of the corkage.
I even shook it so that it should pop still.
No,
you didn't do it hard enough.
It's not good.
We're reviewing Basil Hayden Subtle Smoke. But before we talk about Subtle Smoke, let's just talk a little bit about Basil Hayden, which is made by Jim Beam. And I'm not going to go over the history of Jim Beam. We've talked about Basil Hayden and Jim Beam before. They have a really long, storied history. It's fantastic, but I do feel like we'd be here a long time if we were going over all of it. And if you want more, I guess, of it, I highly recommend reading Beam straight up, which is, it's a little biased, but it's written by Fred No, which is Booker No's son. I'll get to who Booker No is, but I do think it does a great job of kind of working through some of the great stories and history of Jim Beam. But yeah, speaking of Booker, he created Basil Hayden, and at Jim Beam, obviously. He's the son. So when you think of Booker No, you're like, that's not a Beam. How does Booker No fit in? So Jim Beam's daughter was Margaret No. Okay. So she married a No, obviously. And her son is Booker. And he became the 6th generation family distiller at Jim Beam. And many, I guess, credit him to the term small batch because he was the first one to kind of go through Rickhouse and say, I don't want to blend this barrel. I just want to pull from just it at its strength, at its barrel strength. And this will be my barrel strength small batch, just this one barrel. Nobody had done that before. And everybody was like, really? And so if you see Booker No's, it comes in a nice box. That's going to be just one single barrel that bottle is from. Not blended, it's not blended from different barrels and whatnot. And he knew where those good barrels were in the Rickhouse. Anyways, he created this uncut, unfiltered thing that nobody had done before. Massive bourbon fan, loved whiskey. He loved the, hey, pour me a glass and tell me a story or let's talk type behind whiskey, which is what I love about whiskey. I love sitting there and just having a conversation while sipping some whiskey. I just think it leads to really good combo. And he originally crafted Basil Hayden back in 1992 as part of their small batch collection. The style of Basil Hayden was inspired by all the way back to 1792 whiskey pioneer Meredith Basil Hayden Sr. Meredith was a rye farmer from Maryland who moved to Kentucky to distill. I want to move to Kentucky to distill. Nah. Anymore, you don't have to move to Kentucky. You could do it here in Iowa. But Meredith Basil Hayden focused on bourbon with a higher percentage of rye because he was a rye farmer, but everybody wanted bourbon. Nobody wanted rye at that time. They wanted bourbon. So he put more rye into it. So I thought that was really interesting. And Booker set out to create a similar high rye mash bill that would offer that same refined approaching taste. And Jim Beam's got a lot of offerings, and that's no different from Basil Hayden itself. Their specific lineup includes the bourbon, the 10-year bourbon, toast, which you talked about, the red cask finish, and points of interest, which is pretty interesting. It's very similar to kind of a Ocean's Aged. It goes to different spots.
We've got to do that.
I agree. And they also have a handful of ryes. They have their rye, their dark rye, which I'm a huge fan of, malted rye, a Caribbean Reserve rye, which I want to find that, and a 2x2 rye. And of course, they also have Subtle Smoke bourbon, which features a high rye mash bill, just like Basil Hayden, but you use as a secondary aging. So they begin by toasting and lightly charring the secondary barrel. Then they ignite hickory smoked chips at a constant feed to produce smoke, which is pumped into the barrel to give it that. And when I read that, I was like, okay, I have to just smell this to see if I get the
Well, you couldn't
smoke.
just wait.
I couldn't. I was too excited. I'm sorry.
Couldn't wait.
I was like a kid in a candy shop.
The hickory
it was just right there.
Smoked, like, we go around like in the fall, and my parents have a ton of hickory trees.
Yeah.
And we go and we collect even the hulls of the hickory nuts. Like, that is what you smoke with.
Yeah.
Like, we smoke with this. So we have bags of these and we just throw it on the smoker. And hickory is such a good.
It's a great smoke to use. It's got a lot of flavor to it and really good. This smells amazing. Now, it's a lot different than just smelling the bottle. I'll tell you that.
Well, you didn't let me smell the bottle.
Well, that's fine. Smell your glass and tell me what you're getting.
Is it butterscotch?
That's what I was thinking too.
I was glad we're on the same. It's very sweet, but it's not caramel.
No,
it's butterscotch.
It is. Yep.
I wanted to. I was like, is that what it is? It's what it is. And it's very butterscotchy.
If I move it just a little bit, I get some of that smoke. Like, I know you're not supposed to swirl your whiskey, but
it's subtly there. It's very subtle.
I see what you did there. Nice. I see what
you did. No, but
there.
It is like the butterscotch hits you first, and then there is a little bit just right on the surface, some smoke.
Yeah. Now, I did not taste this earlier. I would like you to know that.
Well, if you had, you'd be
you'd be hitting me over there.
We're going to have to, I'm in charge of the bottle before we do our review. You don't get to cheat and sniff it before we get to sniff it on the show.
Curiosity got the best of me. I couldn't help it.
What time today did you open it?
I was like 3-ish.
You couldn't wait a couple hours? 3 hours.
It was in the morning. While you're tasting that, since we don't want any silence, I was going to tell a story. So you taste and think about what you're tasting.
Well, okay. I'll keep taking. Yes.
The other night, Miranda and I, we were getting ready to go to bed, and I decided I wanted to throw something on TV. It was Friday night, I think. Yeah, it was Friday night because we were here, and I wanted to throw something on TV. And I said this jokingly, but it came across as very matter of fact. But anyways, I told her I was going to go grab our Fire Stick, and I said, I'm going to throw something on TV. And then as I walked out of the room, I added, and it's going to be football.
It was your tone. It was your tone of voice. I was like, that's fine with me, but why are you talking to me like that?
It's like, this is not up for debate. We're watching the Boise State game.
But it's the way you said it. If you got a problem,
you go watch the other
way
TV.
You said it. And it's going to be football. Like, it was just like, I'm going to go get the Fire Stick and throw something on TV. I was like, yeah, okay. And it's going to be football. Yes. And you walk out like,
there are no debates.
Like, I ever say no. And could you just check yourself?
Well, it was meant to sound funny, but
it did not. It came off as very authoritative.
Don't say
I dare you to say otherwise.
Don't say I don't take charge in the bedroom, because I did. I said, we're watching football, damn it.
Can we get back to our taste profile?
Yeah,
what do you get off of it?
I
I've had to rein you in so many times. Come on now.
This is delicious. I get that out of it.
It's very good.
There's a sweetness, but also a little rye spice, and then the smoke on the finish, I feel like.
I don't taste butterscotchy, but it is it's sweet. It definitely smells like butterscotch. I like every Basil Hayden we've ever tried because I love rye whiskey.
Right.
And it's a high rye.
Yeah.
You give me a high rye bourbon, and I'm in agreement with it. No, it's good.
Yeah, it is good. It's kind of like with the high rise, it feels like it's the best of both worlds, right? Because you get some of the bourbon tasting notes, like the sweetness, which would be, I don't know if this necessarily tastes like caramel, but a sweetness from something.
There's a little bit of sweet.
It's buttery almost, not butterscotch, but buttery. Try another taste and think about how it's kind of buttery. And then you get the best of a rye. You get the spice from it. And this one with the secondary aging, I feel like the finish just has a tiny bit of smoke. I don't know. This is very, very well done.
It is. It's very warming.
Yeah. No, I like this a lot. This is one that sit by the fire. Whether it's a real fire, fake fire, whatever fire you can get, put the fireplace on the fire stick. We've done that before and just sit there and watch it crackle and drink it. Yeah, no, this is really good. Jim Beam is, I know people think Jim Beam, kind of cheaper or whatever, but I've been doing it for a lot of years, and they are still around and have stuck around because they have very good quality and consistency, I would say. So, and that's why I think you like every Basil Hayden product, because the consistency is always there.
Yes, it is.
I love craft distilleries, small batch stuff, things like that. But sometimes it's okay to go with the big distillery and say, man, every bottle's gonna taste the same, and this is solid. It's really solid.
Yes, you can get that with Basil Hayden for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you get anything else out of it? Did you get the butteriness that I was talking about, or?
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
There is right before the finish.
It's got a good mouthfeel. We haven't brought up a mouthfeel for a while, but this is kind of thicker.
It is. It's more, you can see it. It's more syrupy.
Yeah, not too,
right, but it's thicker.
Yeah, maybe that's why buttery is coming to my mind, because warmed butter is thicker, Maybe that's why that keeps jumping into my head as the tasting palette, but maybe that's more of the mouthfeel.
I know it's kind of there. I know what you're saying. I'm not doing a very good job articulating what I'm getting from it, like for the taste, but
you leave the articulation to me, hon. We're all doomed. Right. Well, do you have anything to add while we're finishing up here, while we're tasting the rest of our Basil Hayden? Again, we will be back Friday, not Thursday.
Friday.
We'll be drinking this in an old fashioned, which should be pretty interesting. I think it's going to complement that drink pretty well.
Yeah, I'm really excited to try it in an old fashioned.
For sure.